just stopped and wondered how everything fits together? From the tiniest atom to the biggest galaxy, how all the different pieces of science connect. Well, today we're going to map it all out. And we're not using some boring old chart. We're going to use something way cooler, the tree of science. I mean, let's be real. It can feel like a lot, right? You hear about astrophysics, then zoology, then psychology. It's like this endless jungle of information. So how in the world do you make sense of it all? How do you see the big picture? Well, that is exactly what we're going to figure out together. So here's our game plan. First, we're going to plant the seed, figure out what science actually is. Then we'll watch the main trunk grow and split into 3 massive domains. We'll explore the physical world, the human world, and even the abstract world. And finally, we'll get to the most important part, why this map, this tree, actually matters in our everyday lives. All right, let's get into it. Before we can even start to see this amazing tree, we have to understand the tiny seed it all grows from. And that seed, well, it's the very idea of science itself. So, what's the deal with science at its core? It's definitely not just a big book of facts. Nope, it's a process. It's this incredibly powerful, organized way of figuring things out. Whether you're looking through a telescope or mixing chemicals in a lab, the goal is always the same: to understand how our world really works and then use that knowledge to make things better. Okay, so from that one little seed of asking why, a huge, sturdy trunk begins to grow. And this trunk, this is the foundation of pretty much all modern knowledge. It's where everything starts to branch out. And here's the wild part. Even with thousands of different fields of study out there, they all basically grow from just 3. That's right, 3 great domains. If you can get your head around these 3, you've got the master key to the map of all human knowledge. So here they are. First, you've got natural science. This is all the stuff you can literally touch, see, and measure. Think atoms, planets, animals. Then there's social science, which is where we kind of turn the microscope on ourselves, our societies, our brains, our behavior. And last but not least, we have formal science. This one's a bit different. It's the language of logic, numbers, and systems that all the other sciences rely on. Okay, you ready? Let's start climbing our first major branch, natural science. This is the part of the tree that's all about understanding the physical universe around us. Everything from a grain of sand to a supercluster of galaxies. Right at the base of this huge branch, holding everything up, is physics. I mean, this is the big one. It asks the biggest questions you can think of. What is stuff made of? Why do things move? What are the fundamental rules that govern the entire universe? And seriously, just think about it for a second. Physics is, well, it's everywhere. It's the gravity keeping you in your chair. It's the electricity powering the device you're watching this on. It's the light from your screen and the sound hitting your ears. It's how we get rockets into space. It's the whole shebang. Now, growing right out of the rules of physics, you get chemistry. If physics explains the fundamental forces, chemistry explains the stuff those forces act on. It's the science of how atoms link up to become molecules, and how we can mix and match them to create everything from life-saving drugs to the phone in your hand. And then, this is where it gets really cool. Out of all those non-living chemical building blocks, something amazing emerges: life. And that brings us to biology. This field covers everything from the simplest little bacteria to the unbelievably complex web of life in a rainforest. And man, this branch just explodes into smaller and smaller twigs. You've got botany for plants, zoology for animals, anatomy to understand our own bodies, and you can go even deeper, right down to genetics, which is like reading the actual instruction manual for life itself. It's a whole world of knowledge right on this one branch. All right, let's hop over to our second giant branch. This time, we're pointing the scientific lens away from stars and cells and aiming it right back at ourselves. Welcome to the fascinating world of social science. This branch tries to make sense of maybe the most complicated thing in the universe: us. It's so cool how it works. Sociology, for example, zooms way out to look at how we act in big groups. But then psychology zooms way in to figure out what's going on inside a single person's head. Then you have economics, which untangles how we handle money and resources, and political science, which looks at power and government. And running through it all, you've got history, which is the story of how we got here. So, Our third and final branch is a little different. It's not about physical stuff you can hold or even people you can observe. No, formal science explores the very language of reality, the rules of logic, patterns, and structure. You could almost think of it as the tree's operating system. So here's the big split, right? Natural and social sciences are all about the real world. You make a hypothesis and you test it with experiments and observations. Formal science, though, is different. It doesn't need a lab. It builds perfect logical systems in the world of ideas, using nothing but pure reason. And in doing so, it creates the essential tools for everybody else. On this branch, you've got the heavy hitters: mathematics, the language the universe is written in; logic, the actual rule book for thinking straight; statistics, our best tool for finding the truth in a messy world of data; and, of course, computer science, which uses all of this to build our entire digital world. The key thing to remember is that this branch isn't off on its own. It's the very soil that nourishes all the other sciences. Okay, so we've climbed the three main branches. We've seen how everything is organized. But so what? Why does this map even matter? Well, it matters because of the fruit. This whole tree exists to produce the real-world results that change our lives. And this is where the magic really happens. You take all that fundamental knowledge from physics, from psychology, from math, and it becomes the raw material for what we call applied science. This is where engineers use physics to build a smartphone. It's where doctors use biology to cure a disease. It's where we go from just knowing things to actually doing things. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what branch you're on, from the most abstract math problem to the most hands-on surgery. The mission, the reason for this entire tree of knowledge always comes down to this simple, powerful idea: to understand the world and then use that understanding to make life better for everyone. So, what's the big takeaway here? This tree of science isn't just a neat way to organize facts. It's our most powerful tool as a species. It helps us understand our place in the universe. It creates the technology that builds our world and the medicine that heals our bodies. And maybe, most importantly, it teaches us how to think, how to be curious, how to solve problems, and how to build a better future. And that leaves us with one last, really exciting thought. This tree, it's not finished. It's alive, and it's still growing. Right now, new fields are sprouting, things like artificial intelligence or quantum biology that we're just beginning to understand. So the real question for all of us is, what incredible new branch is going to grow next?